Next stop, Chicago Junction.
Yes, it's that.
Forgot already, huh?
It's time for...
You're on the air now.
Thank you. It is that time. Time for Chicago Junction. All about the world of the real railroads and model railroading. We're hoping to give you some great information. And here we are with our electrical engineer, Mr. John DePita.
Well, thank you very much, Bry. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another broadcast of Chicago Junction from the John DePita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, June the 12th, the year 2024. Today, the panel will be talking about railroads and model railroads. And now to start our show today, here's our announcer, Mr. Brian.
Oh, thank you, John. I am the announcer, Brian Ballou, and I finally got my act together. A little bit.
After he stopped off at Petticoat Junction.
Dun 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 dun.
Yeah, I got a question I want to ask if you guys later. No, talking about shows and movies. But anyway, yes, I am Brian Ballou. I am a railroad enthusiast. Belong to several museums. Like working on the equipment. And then I'm also a model railroader. Mostly Lionel, O-gauge. But it doesn't stop me from getting Lionel G-gauge. And then all of a sudden I end up picking a Hornby train set and found out it was a 3-rail for a double O-gauge. And I'm sitting there and I finally figured out what he used for a transformer, because they gave me it and the only transformer I found was in the box, like a big suitcase that had traveled across from one of the gentlemen that passed away. And it turns out, since it's AC power, they figured any transformer will do, so we used a Lionel ZW.
Oh, jeez.
He had an O-gauge circle that went around surrounded the double O-gauge track. Got switches, got workable signals. And I'm going, wow.
Way cool.
Way
cool.
Yes. Yeah, well, then you figure, remember, during the time of model railroading like that, there were several companies that were making AC-powered trains in HO or double O.
Yep.
And Merklin was one.
Ives.
Yeah, Ives did that.
Marks.
Well, but they usually ended up with just the O-gauge 3-rail. But here, these guys were with the HO, the 187th.
Well, it's like their underground runs with 4 rails.
Yep.
2 charged and just the 2 rails that the wheels are on. So
Yeah, they say they tell you to pick a rail, right?
here, listen for the train. Take that one. Did you hear it?
Yes. 2 Mile right. Mr. Ron Messner.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ron Messner, and I'm a garden railroader. And my garden is in, and my railroad is almost up.
Woo!
Woo-woo. And I'm enjoying it.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I admit I'm glad I got an outdoor layout I can play with.
I'll have to
And
come
you-
over.
you
I'll have to come over and look at it.
Yes.
Put my stamp of approval. You know, we all have to put the stamp of approval on people's garden railroads.
Yes, that is true. That is so true. Considering you'll
It
have
took
to
you
pay
for-
the parking.
Got to pay the what?
Pay for parking.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, they charge for parking now.
Okay.
Yeah, you could put a Z scale out in your yard, and then you could pretend that it's the movie Them.
Yep.
Across the table,
And yeah, this is Doug Kanick here, a longtime N scaler, rail fan, adjunct professor at Wilbur Wright College,
he thinks he's a
officer.
professor.
Yes, officer in the Railroad and Short Lines Club of Chicago. Our last meeting of our year is the June 21st, and then we take 2 months off, and our next meeting's on September 20. I think it's the 20th, third Friday of the month. So that's the story. Just like trains.
And
period.
you're sticking to it.
That's
Yeah,
right.
He telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
And whatever. All right, so I'm going to go ahead with stories while he gets himself organized here. Okay.
He's organized. He's
Yeah.
just pretending that he's not organized.
Okay. Good news for us in Chicago. Well, South Side.
Yay!
They're going to start advanced construction on the Red Line. CTA has begun the next step in the Red Line extension project this summer when it starts the advanced construction activities. Relocation of utility equipment, property demolition will begin to make way for the 5.6-mile Red Line extension from 95th Street Terminal to 130th Street, which includes 4 new stations. The Red Line extension project is coming to the far south side of Chicago this summer, and will take a huge leap forward by starting the groundwork necessary to build the new Red Line tracks, said the CTA president. It's interesting. It says they claim it's going to save 30 minutes of traveling time for people coming from 130th Street. And it says construction is expected to start in 2025 and be completed by the end of 2029. So that's basically a mile and a half a year. All right, Rail Vision has received notice of an allowance from the U.S. Patent Office for its AI-based railway obstruction detection system. The patent outlines an advanced method for enhanced rail safety through the use of electro-optical imaging technologies combined with artificial intelligence. The system is designed to reduce collisions on railroad by employing an artificial intelligence model that includes comprehensive scene analysis and image processing techniques, according to Rail Vision. Now, I keep telling you, we're going to have crewless trains. No trains with no crews. This is the first step. We can't have them directly. The railroads will have them indirectly. By the way, there's a great video on there. I'll have to go dig it up and send it to you guys. Some European came up with a high-speed train that they could run on regular tracks. And what they'll do is they'll lay down the electromagnets on existing track and run at 500 miles an hour. And this guy just tears it to pieces, including the automation part of it. It's a great 5 minutes. I was laughing at it. It was great. Anyway, good news. Port of Indiana, Burns Harbor, kicks off a $77 million project. The project, in various phases of development, includes construction of 2 highway bridges entering the port, 3 new ship berths, new bulk warehouse, 2 new rail yards, industrial site development, and extensive dock and rail rehabilitation throughout the 600-acre port, said the Indiana port officials. The port's going through a transformation, multi-year expansion, and the amount of construction happening right now exceeds every year since the port was built in the 1960s. So Burns Harbor is being expanded. And it says the port offers access to all Class 1 railroads. All right, the Northern, this is in Britain, the Northern deploys AI to monitor passenger numbers. K-Rail operator Northern has installed AI passenger detection technology on 8 of its trains that will help to improve operational efficiency and inform future scheduling. The company worked with ICOMA and DGA to install cameras and computers on its fleet of Class 769 trains that will more accurately detect the number of passengers on board using the automatic passenger counting algorithm. Jack Commodore, engineering director at Northern, said more than 90 million people step aboard one of our trains every year, and our fleet of Class 769 trains will now give us a more accurate data on passenger volumes than we ever had before. Installing the technology, the installation of the technology, said to be 98% accurate, was conducted by Allerton Train Care Center in Northern England and saw 15 engineers install 88 cameras, 8 computers, and 5 kilometers of cable. So they're going to count the number of people on the train. So it's Brightline to develop an AI system to monitor trespassing incidents. And again, we're going to have crewless trains at some point, and what they're doing is they're going, instead of directly, here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece, here's a piece, and one day there's no crews. Anyway, here's the story. U.S. rail operator Brightline has received $1.6 million from the Federal Railroad Administration through the bipartisan infrastructure bill to develop an AI monitoring system with Y-Tracks to collect real-time data on trespassing activity along its rail corridor. I have another related story to this. You'll die laughing. The grant through the FRA Consolidated Rail Infrastructure Safety Program will include installation of HD forward-facing cameras on all Brightline's 21 locomotives along the Florida East Coast Railway corridor. The ability to collect, identify, and mitigate trespasser behavior through the use of AI is a catalyst for the change, and exciting to see that the FRA and the DOT acknowledge this. The cameras installed by Brightline will collect data to develop an AI model that will identify unsafe behaviors, allowing the company to identify key areas for community outreach programs and improve police presence or that need engineering upgrades. Brightline grant is just part of a $1.4 billion in funding provided to rail projects through the FRA CRIS program. The Brightline involvement in the project, which it said could be used by railroads across the U.S. when fully developed. It's particularly notable given recent press investigations into the number of deaths along the Brightline corridor, which saw more deaths per mile than any other U.S. railroad in 2022. Again, notice the word AI. Again, they're out detecting things. Here's another AI story with railroads. Network Rail, this is another one from Britain, to use AI to identify scrap building material left on tracks. Now, Brian, you're an engineer. What did the engineer do besides, turn the thing and run the train fast or slow? You look for obstacles on the track, right?
Yes.
All right, now we've already had 2 AI stories that said they're looking for obstacles on the track. Here's another one. Network Rail has revealed its use of specialist AI software to identify forgotten scrap material left at the side of the railroad tracks so it can be removed to improve safety and potential save network funds. The technology, created by a UK company, One Big Circle, is being trialed by the organization's southern region on the Wessex route and will likely be rolled out across the country if it's deemed successful. Using automated intelligent video review software, the tech will analyze high-definition footage from across the rail network to locate old material that could be reused or recycled, thus clearing it from the track where it could pose a risk to workers. Use of the Wessex route to trial the technology is notable, as not only is one of the busiest routes in the UK rail network, but the largest cause of accidents for staff is slips, trips, and falls. Something only made worse by leftover scrap. The tech has also been highlighted as a money-saving enterprise for Network Rail, as Identified materials can be used elsewhere in the network if needed. So there we go. Again, it's going to detect it. But here's another use of AI and fiber optics to keep elephants and trains safe. Collisions between trains and elephants, this is a story out of India, by the way, are a major concern in India, tragically resulting in the loss of both endangered animal life and risking human safety too. Sensonic's innovative elephant detection system, also known as the Gyra system, addresses this challenge head-on. Computer-generated graphics of an elephant besides the tracks. The system uses distributed acoustic sensing technology to listen for the footsteps of the approaching elephants. By detecting the vibrations...
Footprints?
Yeah, the footsteps.
Oh.
By detecting vibrations transmitted through the fiber optic cables buried along the track, the AI-enabled system can detect the presence and movement of elephants near the railway line in real time. Algorithms monitor the presence of the endangered species, and when they stray too close to danger, warnings are sent to the railway staff. This advanced warning system allows the railway to take necessary precautions, such as reducing speed or stopping and sending staff to allow elephants safe passage, preventing deadly collisions when endangered animals which weigh as much as a large SUV or small truck. I told you I got the good ones.
This sounds like they have an elephant problem.
Yeah. Well, no. Now, think about it. If it works, I mean, if this truly works, they could use it to detect trespassers on the track.
Now, we're talking about major passenger trains.
Yes.
Yeah, not so much freight. But all major passenger trains, all of a sudden, locking the brakes, depending upon speed, and learn how to shoo an elephant off the tracks.
Yeah. Well, is there a problem here?
Uh,
Better than hitting them.
Well,
How do you shoo an elephant off the track?
You take
Get off, get off.
Did
you
you ever
keep-
watch Bugs Bunny? You wind up a little wind-up mouse and you put it in front of him. Well, here's
that's all, folks.
Yeah.
That's all.
Here's the rest of the story. We are incredibly proud to partner with Indian Railways East Coast Network on this vital project, said Deep Denzi, MD of Sonic India. Our elephant detection system offers a comprehensive solution that safeguards both elephant and train operations. By preventing collisions, we can significantly reduce the loss of life, minimize disruption to railway operations, ultimately benefiting wildlife, passengers, and local communities. The contract encompasses the deployment of Sensonic's elephant detection system through about 1,200 kilometers of fiber surrounding 400 kilometers of railroad tracks within the East Coast network spanning the states of Orissa and Jharkhand. I think this is in the south.
Mm-hmm.
This includes the installation of 20 strategically positioned sensing units along with supporting equipment that enable real-time monitoring, data analysis, and alerts that will be sent to railway staff, including station masters and locomotive pilots. Pretty good, huh? Yeah. Well, I'm not done with track monitoring. They're doing it right here in Chicago.
Yes.
Chicago O'Hare Airport construction track monitoring. Construction of a 9-foot utility conduit pipe bored under the Union Pacific and Canadian Pacific tracks was required to improve navigation lighting at the airport. The conduit was needed to enable connection of power and communications cabling from the runway to structures including towers and bridges outside the airport. Monitoring was required to maintain track alignment during the work. The use of conventional optical survey methods would have required frequent site visits and track access to monitor. So monitoring experts at Walsh Construction chose sensitive wiring monitoring solution. The advantages include continuous reporting, regardless of weather and lighting conditions, and near real-time alerts to the project team in the event of significant changes in track alignment. Walsh team fitted wireless nano-macro triaxial tilt sensors to the track ties and installed cellular communication gateways. No bulky cabling or external power systems were required. As soon as the monitoring system was installed, data was accessible on WebMonitor, cloud-based data visualization software. Use of this remote monitoring solution to with its automated alerting, allow Walsh to reduce site visits and allocate more resources to other aspects of the project. So the monitoring software, besides detect the elephants, now look to see if the tracks move because they're built in the sewer. Now here's one that you'll really like. Mexican government sends Marines to take over private rail line. This happened in May. The government of Mexican President Lopez has deployed Marines to the country's south to occupy a section of railroad operated by a private conglomerate. Officials called the measure temporary and in the public interest as the government works to update a rail-to-sea network on the isthmus of, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce it, a narrow region of land between the Gulf of Mexico and the Pacific Ocean. That project, dubbed the Inner Ocean Corridor, is intended to help Mexico boost its economy, compete with the Panama Canal, a primary conduit for trade in the region. Friday's railroad takeover, however, caught the transportation company Grupo Mexico, which owns the Texas Trans, owns a railroad in Texas. They just bought the Copper River. Transport off guard, according to the statement it released in the aftermath. The surprising and unusual takeover of the installations by the armed forces is being analyzed by Grupo Mexico Transport, its investors and advisors, the company said. Its shares dropped by more than 4% because of that. The Mexican government has promised to compensate Grupo Mexico Transport for the seizure, which involves approximately 120 kilometers, 75 miles of rail between Medias Aguas and the port city of Coatzacoalcos. The company said the trains were continuing to operate on the line with the surveillance of the armed forces. The military took over at 6 a.m. in the morning. Now, the project is Mexico wants to build a 4-track main line from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. And they want to haul containers across it in competition with Panama. They floated this idea last year. Panama's having problems because they're running out of water. The original canal and the lake that feeds it was perfectly balanced. In other words, the rivers fall into the lake. The lake then provided water on both sides for the locks. Well, they built the new locks, which are twice as wide, so they can take the bigger ships, and not enough water. So Mexico's seeing an opportunity here that, hey, these ships can offload and we can haul it across and put it in the Gulf of Mexico onto smaller ships and go all over, the Atlantic coast. However, the Panama Railroad has also figured that out, and they're trying to do the same thing. Unfortunately, a Chinese company owns both sides of the port.
When did they get involved?
They bought in 7 years ago. And they have security guards who amazingly look like soldiers at both ports. You guys didn't know that? Yeah, a Chinese shipping company bought the shipping at both ends.
Well, okay. Well, they bought it after I got out of the Navy.
So that's what's going on. That's why the group that transport was telling the government, we'll see. And so I guess the president didn't want to wait and just seized the railroad with the send the Marines. We're going to take the trains. But that's their overall plan. It's a 150-mile line from the Pacific Ocean to the Gulf of Mexico. That's it.
All right.
How long is this going to take?
Yep. That
Yeah.
long.
That long?
That long.
The video I watched last year said anywhere from 6 to 10 years.
Okay.
It's a matter of money.
Of
How are yours,
course.
Brian? Let's talk about that steam engine.
Oh, yeah. They did make it to Mexico and such. And they had a couple problems.
No.
Yes.
Elephants?
No.
People?
Yes. The steamer did hit a couple of pedestrians.
The poor steam engine.
I know. And
All that Cabana wax has to be redone now.
Yeah. Now plans had been made for the train to stop at Silvis because it had a problem and it was going to get a federal inspection. And it ain't coming. Apparently, the CEO had heard about it and was not enthused about it. So he decided to cancel the would-be excursion that would have been running on the 29th.
And which railroad is that?
The railroad that they were going to run on was the old Rock Island up to Bureau Junction.
Yeah, was that
from Silvis.
Iowa Interstate? Okay.
And the president said no. So that's okay. No problem. Yet. And but did find out interesting. I was looking through. I have a nice picture of the train there in Mexico. Look at that funny diesel in the middle.
Yep.
That is a hydrogen diesel.
Ah, okay.
It turns out that Kansas City, Canadian Pacific Kansas City, they have kits now to help build hydrogen diesels. That was the first diesel built with it. And now we have a second diesel from CSX.
Very good.
So now we're going to see how much water they put in the tracks and how fast the weeds come up.
Well, everything's fine until the first accident when you have the small hydrogen bomb go off. Because hydrogen is very, very volatile.
Yes, it is. I mean, that's what, if you don't believe me, I think there's still some survivors from that blimp.
Well, I mean, it can be safely handled. It can be
Yes.
safely transported, but it's going to go through the same growing pains that we had with gasoline.
Yes.
And it took, about 20, 30 years to finally figure out how to handle it and keep the cars from blowing up when they get into accidents and stuff.
Yeah. And it's amazing what happens when you play things down
But on
and
the
not
other,
use it full strength.
well, on the other hand, though, in Utah, you could buy natural gas for your car. They have kits that convert cars to run on natural gas, and they have natural gas stations where you can go in and fill up, and it's only 39 cents a gallon.
Yep.
So my buddies out there were telling me that. Except that if you go outside of Utah, there's no gas, so no natural gas.
Since you did Bright Light.
Elephants again?
No, we're not going to do elephants.
Boy, you're into elephants tonight.
No, they got from the Federal Transportation Board
Yeah.
and the state of California.
Oh, yeah, they're going to get their high-speed line, huh?
The high-speed line, they got it fully signed. And you read the story, you're going to laugh a little.
Go ahead.
Yeah. What happened is they said they had no problem getting their signatures for, nature and stuff like that.
Oh, the EPA stuff?
Because of all the preliminary work that was done to take care of the environment. Not to mention all the court cases that the state went through, trying to stop them from wanting to build an elevated high-speed line. But they used those who all of a sudden, within a month and a half, they had all the permits they needed. And they're building. They got the first spike, and then they made copies of the first spike to give to all the state officials.
Oh, of course.
And everybody's going, yay!
Oh, by the way, on Monday, Caltrain now starts running their electric commuter trains.
Yes, they
Starting
do.
Monday.
Yep, starting Monday.
Yeah. Final testing was wrapped up this week.
That's going to be good.
Yep. For California. Until the electric grid goes down.
The electric grid goes. But yeah, I think it is a good idea. And it'll probably get now that the American TGV has got the push. Well, you guys can get your funds again, and we'll start building.
How's the Texas Central coming along? Last time I looked, they were still. I think they just acquired some land for a terminal, so they're about ready to start building too.
Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of neat. Like they say, first hydrogen.
Yeah. I mean, the output's water, not a problem. Well,
That's it.
the side effect is going to. What do they call that? Unintended consequences? Oh, look, weeds.
Yeah, it's going to be great. All right. Now,
Well, you got to water those leaky grain cars.
Now remember, I talked to you and said, I think Mexico's going to have a high speed running before U.S. does.
Mm-hmm.
The HST they've been running in England.
Okay.
Yeah, the high speed train.
Yep.
There are 12 of them sitting in Mexico now,
Yeah.
and they started running them.
Good for that Mexico.
And how far are they running from where to where?
I have no idea. Mexico City is one of the destinations. It's probably the starting point.
Well, see, they're in a valley, so there's only like 3 or 4 passes to get into that area because they're like in a depression, the whole city. So I'm thinking probably one town to the south, one to the north, probably one towards the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yeah. That would make more sense.
Not one to the border
but-
though, because then they have
yeah.
to sell tickets to the
But yeah.
immigrants. And
They bought.
They don't have any money.
oh, they're right on top.
They're on. they're,
They do that in India with the elephants.
Yeah. With the elephants, yeah. And then
Well, if the elephants were on top, they wouldn't have to send them walking around.
and then we. Okay. But yeah, they got 12 of them, and Nairobi has got 6 of them. And they're
Now,
going
what's the
to
fine
get
high speed though? Are these going to be in over 200, 100 to 200, or up to 100?
And is the track laid?
Well, yes, they have trains running in Nairobi.
No, I mean the definition of high speed. I mean, we got our
Well,
wonderful politicians who think 95 miles an hour is high speed.
yes,
It's not. By definition, it's got to be at least 125 or more.
yeah. That's why they got all these AIs.
Nah, politicians don't have any sense. Come on.
What do they know about trains?
They're not even artificial. It's non-artificial
Oh,
intelligence.
they're just like the board at the Botanic Garden. I don't think any of them ever had a train set as a kid. Not even a Brio. No, they
Yeah,
don't.
but
They-
thanks to Thomas the Tank Engine, just about every kid knows what a train is.
But the thing is, they don't want it in the garden.
That's what everybody talks about. I was over at my MG support group, and they were talking about the trains at the. And I said, "Oh, I know somebody
They
who helped set that
are.
up."
What do they do? They want to get
People
rid of the
took-
the trains at the garden?
Yes.
Oh, how stupid.
Yes.
Paul Busty just opened a new garden layout.
Where?
New York. A second one now in New York.
So the main attraction for going to the biological gardens is now gone, and they're going to wonder why visitor counts are down.
I mean, how are you going to get the kids interested?
Yeah, they're not going to want to go look at plants. It's like taking a kid fishing, you know. Why are we fishing? This is boring.
Yeah.
Till you throw them in the lake and use them as bait.
That's it.
So no trains at the biological. Are they set up for this year?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
In fact, we got 19 tracks running.
So what they're talking about, not for next year, though, right?
Well, no, they've been talking for the last 4 years.
They do that.
That's
then-
why there's no Christmas trains.
Oh, okay. So they're slowly phasing it out, hoping nobody will notice.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
They notice. They just don't
Yeah.
know how to approach the
Yeah.
garden
Well,
without.
we tell them, if you have an opinion, please write it down and send it to the board. They do read the letters.
They're commies.
No.
Yes, they are.
I got other names for them, but we're on.
We're on the air.
It's going to be recorded, so I'm not going to say it.
What you say could be held. You could be held responsible for your.
Yeah, about 10 years from now. Oh, look what you said 10 years ago.
You probably won't be around 10 years from now.
Oh, I intend to be around long enough to agitate a lot of people. Come on. It's my goal in life.
There you go.
So
I mean, you go.
we have a professor at the Wright College who's 72 now. Should have retired a long time ago. And I asked him one time, why do you stick around? He goes, to be a pain in the ass to the administration. That's it. Says it all right
Yeah.
there. And boy, the administration, they need him.
Now that's good.
You know when you want to know the latest nonsense they pulled over the last year.
And as we talked about last month, that Calmbach sold themselves.
Yep. And did you hear the other part of it?
Firecrown Media.
Yeah. Did you hear the other part? They closed the office in Milwaukee and fired everybody.
Yeah, they did, but then they rehired them.
Well, that's the old trick of management. Fire everybody and then make you reapply for your job.
Yeah, well,
And of course, guess what? You're not going to get there. They had to move to Tennessee.
that's they're staying in.
Well, that's just for the year.
New owners are based in Chattanooga.
Yep. But I'll lay you odds within 3 to 5 years there won't be an office in Milwaukee. I've been through this with corporations. They say everything just to get everybody on board, and all of a sudden you wake up. What happened to that department? Oh, they moved it here. What happened to that? Oh, it's over there. What happened to these guys? They were let go on Friday night. So been through that a couple of times with a couple of companies. Not pretty.
And then they talk about jobs.
Oh, Amtrak's launched a new train.
Yep, to Minneapolis.
Yep,
What do they call it?
the Borealis.
The Boring Ellis? I know. I looked at the name and I go, couldn't think of something better. Come on. We had all these great names of trains for the last 100 years. You couldn't use one of them.
Yeah, boring.
The Borealis.
Who came up with that one?
I'm just,
You don't want to know, but they probably hired a consultant firm for $1 million to come up with that.
I wouldn't put money. I would agree.
Been through that too.
Yeah, because they can't think for themselves. They got to hire a consultant to tell them.
Well, market research says that's the first words you hear out of their mouth when they make a presentation.
yeah, I'm sitting there going, all these people are millennials that are doing that.
Oh, now don't go pick on them just because they're ignorant.
Hey, you picked on me, so
So anyway, what else you got for railroads?
Ah.
So we got Brightline building in California. California high speed between LA and there is moving along, even though the legislature out there is taking a
Still.
second look at the money being spent. And
Well,
again,
because they can't figure it out because all the money was being spent on court cases.
well, the thing is, the project's also, if you looked at the structure of management, you had to shake your head because they had a manager for each 10-mile section. And the managers weren't talking to each other.
Why do they want it?
That's just mismanagement. That's pure and simple. You need one person overseeing the whole thing.
Yes.
You know, the Union Pacific or Central Pacific or whatever it was that was built for Omaha, Central Pacific, yeah. When they built that, there was one guy orchestrating the whole thing. Not one guy for every 10 miles.
Yeah, you had one man for Central Pacific, one man
Yep.
for the.
So, but this
Union
one's got
Pacific.
this is a Harvard University is now writing their own textbook on how not to manage a project like this, using them as the example.
Yes.
And it should have been done according to the original plans. It was supposed to be already done and up and running. Now
But
they're
then-
talking 2035 at the earliest.
Yeah, well, because of the fact.
Yeah,
that,
I know. The NIMBY's got a, well, California, the whole state's a NIMBY.
Yes.
You know, it's amazing anything gets done out there.
Oh, well, you know, why be efficient?
Oh, yeah, I forgot to bring this news. The Weber Bike Trail from Devon Avenue to Elston Avenue is going to get built. They finally got $1 million to start working on it.
Oh, really?
Yep, it was released Friday by the alderman. They finally got the money to work on it. They want to extend it all the way to Lawrence and Cicero, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to end for now at Elston. But yep, they got the money for it. Finished the bike trail.
I'll be okay.
Yep. They said people are already using it, much to UP's displeasure. Well, yeah. It's a nice place to walk dogs, hang around, drink beer, have parties. Oh, it cuts through the forest preserve.
That's it.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's going to finally finish that bike trail, because it's already a bike trail from Lincolnwood through Skokie. Or part of Skokie, I should say. It didn't go all the way. Gets cut off at Tui.
Yeah, that's where it ends. Unless you want to do the travel from there to.
So that's the story there. What else you got for us, Brian?
I don't have much more. Well, I did find an article, a good article, and I picked up the wrong magazine. There were people actually going through some of the war-torn areas from World War One,
Mm-hmm.
and they were finding trench locomotives,
Oh, cool.
parts of them and stuff.
Yeah.
So they bought back about 10 of them, and right now they've got I know at least 6 running.
Now, those are 2 foot or 1 foot gauge?
2 foot,
2 foot, okay.
the trench locomotives.
I have a little book at home. They had, one of these little pocket paperbacks that was in color, talking about. There was a whole chapter on trench locomotives.
Yeah,
That was fascinating. It's like one way to move ammo around.
yeah.
Let's put it on the train.
I got an early Baldwin catalog, and they had some of the trench locomotives in there. I'm going,
Real cool.
okay. I said, damn, if I can get one of them, we could run it at Heston.
Oh, speaking of narrow gauge, have you seen that some guy in Indonesia on the island of Java talking about the sugar trains, except that it's got English subtitles. But he's just, he's pointing, but it's fun to watch because it's, you got these, he calls the temporary track tram track, I think it is, or ram track, that's what he calls it. It's actually temporary rails that they put down into the sugar fields and stuff.
Right.
Of course, Jan goes nuts. What are you listening to that for? It's like, but it's fun to. It's
fun.
interesting
It's
series of
interesting.
videos. Yeah.
Well, it's like when I was talking about that Japanese channel on Wednesday. They got trains. Now, some of them are past episodes they show, but then after that, they show a new one, what they want to do. And one of the big things that they want to do to help promote railroading is because they've got a lot of steam locomotives, they're starting to rebuild them again.
Oh, great.
And to run for tourist trains. And they've got lines that were being abandoned, and they run tourist trains on them, serving meals. And they got one that you got to be a cat lover for.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one. That one looks like a lot of fun, though.
Yeah. Them cats, they're just sitting there going, oh.
Oh, make sure you're just not allergic to them, that's all.
Yep, that's it.
And, of course, if you don't like somebody you know they're allergic, hey, here's a ticket to this train.
Right now, my Blanche, she wants to go to Japan.
I'd like to go to ride the train.
She got into it with me watching it, the program, and with the two hosts. When you see, they actually got a small N-gauge layout in front of them.
Oh, great.
I knew you'd like that.
Well, you know, they got that, there's a live camera outside Tokyo that sits on the 16-track main going into the terminal. So you see a train like every minute go by.
Oh, yeah.
Literally. Sometimes 2 or 3. And all of them. The locals, the express, the Shinkansen.
You actually got you got 3 levels of trains.
And then there's an L train that's running in the background, and you know, there's separate videos. There's a street crossing there with the gates, right? And then some guy parked the camera, and for the next half hour he couldn't go through because there were so many trains coming in and out of the station that the gates never went up for them to go across the track. It was a 30-minute video. And I'm like thinking, these people gripe when they have to sit 2 minutes at a crossing here. Imagine sitting 30 minutes at one. But, so what else is going on? So what did you want to ask us about the movies?
Oh, yeah.
So you got to remind him.
No. I was getting there.
Didn't take a
I go for, train movies and stuff, and I've seen them written up. Because I got one of those movie books from Leonard Maltin, up to 2000. So I can imagine how much it is now. That thick.
Or 2 volumes.
And anyway, have you ever heard of the movie Scalp Lock?
John Wayne.
No.
No.
Rory Calhoun.
Okay. One of those guys. I've heard in the movie. I just never watched it.
Yeah, Scalp Lock. He was like a gambler. And he ended up winning the deed in a poker
that's what they
game.
based the TV series on, Iron Horse.
Yes. I've been trying to find...
BPS&D.
Now, I've seen them come out with all sorts of old TV shows and everything else. One, I have never seen Iron Horse come out. Never seen Scalp Lock come out. And there was another one. 2 tickets to Ticket to Tomahawk.
That one I've never seen come out. I've seen Scalp Lock and I've seen Iron Horse. I can't remember what cable channel it was on because there's 2 new ones that just started up and a couple of more coming online.
I keep looking for when they put it on CD.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I watch the cable channels and cruise the thing.
The Scalp Lock was the movie that introduced it.
Yeah, I remember. I probably
Rory
watched
Calhoun.
it.
And the only thing that got real funny about it because I saw him when he went and got that private car that was supposed to be for the UP guy. And it turns out, and the guy that built it was Scotty from Star Trek.
I remember the movie now. I never knew the name of it because I always thought it was Iron Horse because I watched the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
The BPS.
No, I do remember that.
Yeah, the BPS&D.
Yeah.
I remember the stupid initial. I don't know what it stands for. It was Buffalo Pass something, but that's all I remember of it.
Yeah.
But that was fun to watch. Oh, you'll be happy to know the last season of Snowpiercer on TBS.
Blanche has it marked. She likes Snowpiercer. She really enjoys it. And she says, it's about time we're going to get the final episodes.
Stop giving her coffee.
She don't drink coffee. She drinks tea.
Then she should start. Anyway.
Get some Jameson.
Yeah. No, I don't watch the streaming services at all. I don't get it on free TV. I don't bother with it.
Yeah, I watch the Disney Channel.
Okay.
Hey, they had a nice Ron Howard.
And what's wrong with the Disney Channel?
Well, let's see. Disney bought CBS movies and TV shows. One of them was MASH. Klinger was always in dresses. Therefore, Klinger is a Disney princess.
I didn't know that. I was not aware that he
Paramount.
became a.
They bought Paramount. Paramount was the one that put out MASH on TV. So, therefore, they own Paramount. Paramount owns MASH. MASH had Klinger in dresses. Therefore, that makes him a Disney princess. You didn't know that, did you?
Disney owns ABC.
Yeah. I thought it was NBC.
No, ABC.
Comcast owns NBC.
Yes. Comcast does.
They own ABC.
They own
ABC,
ABC because they also do ESPN.
Yeah.
But they did one on Jim Henson. And that explained how he got his studios and stuff in England. No,
Pray tell.
well, he wanted to do a Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
And all the producers around just said, no, they don't want to just see puppets and stuff like that. So this guy come from England, asked him to come over, made him a deal, built a studio there, and did 5 years of the Muppet Show.
It was a fun show to watch.
It
Yes,
was.
it was.
It was very entertaining.
Do 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 do. Da, da, da.
And that
Especially with the two old men.
Yeah, they're the best.
they
Then there was always Miss Piggy. I mean, she was the star of the.
oh, of course she was. And
And,
then
and Fonzie Bear with the bad jokes.
Gonzo,
Yep.
who does anything.
And had all the chickens around him all the time.
Oh yeah. Okay, girls.
And Animal, the drummer.
Oh. What was her?
We
Lena
had
Horne.
nothing better to do than
Which
to
one?
watch the Muppets.
Who was it? Lena Horne. She was on the show, and she was doing Fever. And she's standing next to
Oh, no.
Animal, and he's and he goes, and she finally boxes his ear.
Jago Hazard mentioned that on one of his shows. He was talking about stations, and one of the tube stations was used in the Muppet movie. They
Mhm.
mentioned it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they had some great guests on there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking Zero Mostel. In fact, his show, when it broadcast, 2 weeks later he was dead.
Wow.
He had passed away.
Well, at least we got him on film.
Yes, we do.
There's a lot of people that are on film that are.
Yeah, it's well, it happens, you know.
We don't
We're
last
here today
forever.
and gone tomorrow. So,
We don't last forever.
No, we don't.
but that's the way of life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Even though we are living longer, it's just not long enough yet.
That's about it. Well, let's see. Buddy of mine, his father is now. He's going to be turning 104.
Good for him.
And still,
Yes, good for him is right.
Yeah.
and he's still walking.
That's good. Well, yeah, you know that you were on the one to Washington D.C., but remember that flight last week that went to Normandy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Most of them were over 90 on that, and there was a couple of ones in the hundreds.
right. They said by whatever the next how they do that,
Yeah,
half of those men will be gone.
But there was a handful. It was like 3 or 4 or maybe 5. There were over 100.
Yeah,
Well,
Yeah.
it was just like, what, a month ago was when the last Pearl Harbor sailor died. The Arizona.
I mean, until they announce, how many people are still alive. In our minds, we don't know that there's a lot of people still alive.
Well, I'm glad there's a guy going around collecting the stories from these guys.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
That's a good.
I was on Channel 9. They were talking about it. He's going around collecting all the stories as fast as possible. So and he collects also documents, letters, that kind of stuff too, memorabilia. So yeah, it's 80 years now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
I mean, it's amazing that somebody is taking the time and finding these men, and that they can communicate to him what took place.
Yep.
I mean, other than what we see pictures of, it's in our minds, it's still hard to.
No,
really
it's 80 years.
80 years. Yeah.
80 years.
8 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
80. Speaking of World War II,
Because I was saying, because I just saw a movie recently.
good for you.
Yeah.
No. It was Godzilla. It was Godzilla -1.
Oh no, not another one.
Oh yeah,
They come out with Godzilla every other year.
I have a nephew that loves the Godzilla movie, so
but they made a 70th anniversary movie.
Oh, okay.
That's what it is.
Anyway, speaking of World War II, did you see the news that they found some of the streetcars and locomotives on Kriegler that was bombed up back to last week Tuesday?
Yeah.
They found one of the locomotives.
No kidding.
They dug. They were digging. They were doing something there, and they showed a picture. You see this rusty outline, looks like a Fortney 440. But yeah, they said there was. I remember reading one of my train magazines way back in 1970. Railroad magazine. Not today. It's Railroad and Rail Fan.
Yeah, I
They
know.
were talking
I know what
about-
you're talking about.
They were talking about the streetcars and or the trains on Kriegler, except there's not much.
Corregidor, yeah.
Not much information because everything was bombed. That thing was bombed so heavily that everything was destroyed. But they've been finding, I don't know what they're doing out there, but they've been finding tracks, and they found a locomotive. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
So it's
Well, it's like if you walk through like some of these lumber camps,
Hmm.
if you don't go in there for a while, you don't know what's going on. And a couple people walked in and they were finding rusted out hulks of locomotives.
There's that one that keeps showing up in Maine. They got two 460s sitting out there.
In fact, what is it? There was 2 locomotives that sunk in the Raritan Sea outside of Paterson, New Jersey. They were being shipped overseas, and they made up a reef now.
Well, there's a couple of ships in Lake Michigan that the what do you call it, the divers club go down, and they got locomotives and freight cars sitting in them, almost perfectly preserved because they're deep enough and it's cold enough.
It's cold enough.
And they're not, so they use it for
They're
diving
not.
practice and
They're
stuff.
not really.
The same with planes that are.
Yep.
Especially with the wood frames.
Yeah, they get preserved very nicely. Because they were talking about some ship that was shipping something, and it sank out just outside Green Bay, and they said, "Oh, look!" And they went down, and sure enough, there was these box cars sitting there, and that was kind of neat.
Must have been a freight flat.
Yeah. So it's anything else?
No, that's it.
Yeah, we're good then.
I think we're good for now.
Unless we have some more elephants.
Next time we'll bring the elephants.
But yeah, okay.
I thought you liked
As
that
a
story.
reminder, on the 29th, if you want to take the 2-hour drive to Silvis, they're going to have open house. They are working on the Challenger right now. the 3985, and they are going to work on the tender for the big boy. The big boy's tender is what stayed behind, and it took it the Challenger tender. I mean, they're both the same size.
Sure.
But they'll be there, and they are going to run. They got like a mile and a half of track. You can go from one place. So they're going to have a diesel do a push-pull in the yard.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. It'll look good, too, considering the diesel's 98
So
feet
this
long.
is in Iowa, right?
No, this is still in Illinois.
Where? Downstate?
Along the Mississippi
Oh,
River.
okay.
Not
Okay.
actually, not that, that far. And, yeah, they're going to use the DD40X on doing the push-pull.
A little overkill there.
Slightly. But the thing is, they got it running right. They came in and people were talking about how bad it runs and all, you ought to just scrap it. But all I needed was new coil springs.
Huh. Well, the UP wanted those. They ordered them specifically because they wanted the pulling power.
Yeah.
They were pleased with it for a while. And didn't they have a couple of B units?
No.
I thought they did.
No,
They had
no.
cabless ones.
They had B units.
Yeah.
But they were not, they were DD 35s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I just thought they had some B units to go with it.
Yeah, they did have some B units. They were different looking than what the 40 looked like.
Is he ready back there?
Yep.
You're on, John.
You're on, John. John, you're on.
As our train comes into the station, we come to the end of another informative program
With elephants.
with elephants. So we'll see what we can come up with next week, or next month. This is Brian Valou, Ron Mesner,
Bye.
Doug.
Good night, Brian.
Good night, wherever you are.
Who was it? Mrs.
This is Calabas, wherever you are. Good night.
Thank you. Mrs. Calabas, wherever you are.
Or we used to say good night, Gracie.
You have been listening to Chicago Junction from the John DeVita Broadcast Center on the Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network on Wednesday, June the 12th, the year 2024. Chicago Junction was produced and directed by John DeVita, and our special thanks to our executive producer of Windy City Hometown Entertainment Network, Mr. John Shikanda. This broadcast was produced and recorded on Wednesday, June the 12th, the year 2024. Until next time, friends, please be safe and thanks for listening.